Okay guys, today I am gonna walk you through one of my most used builds for Death Wish, Mayhem and below on Payday. This is a Anarchist Frenzerker build, which all revolves around super heavy armor and never taking damage to your health. This is a variant with a sword, but you can pretty easily adapt it to have Inspire or Sentry Guns or pretty much anything else. You're just going to have to shift a few skill points around. Let's take a look at the skills first. Well, actually, let's start with the perk deck, just for an explanation. So, Anarchist changes the way that your armor works, and it does two important things, is it makes your armor regenerate regularly when you're not, even when you're taking damage, but it doesn't regenerate it all at once. And it gives you regeneration to your armor when you deal damage to cops. And it also gives you a 2-second damage invincibility when you are, as you can see over here, when your armor breaks once every 15 seconds, you get a 2-second invincibility window. So this allows you to take armor gating to an extreme and just blocks enormous amounts of damage from ever hitting your health. And for that reason, it's a really sustainable build for super long heists, because you don't burn through medical supplies at all, and you can pretty much remain indefinitely to get an enormous amount of loot out, or to wait out really long fights like Overdrill or stuff. But you'll also see that it reduces your health and turns it into armor. And so as a result, your health is kind of already very low, as you can see. It takes it down from 230 to 115, but you've got a massive 400 points of armor. So to maximally capitalize off that, we're going to use this skill up here, Frenzy, this particularly good synergy with Anarchist, because when your health is already very low, being capped to 30% health by Frenzy is not so much of a downside. And that, damage reduction that you take, so now you're taking less damage, and you are dealing considerably more damage because you're always at low health for the Berserker. Aced. So this build allows you to take reduced damage and deal massive amounts of damage. So this Frenzy Aced, Berserker Aced is really critical to this build working. And you can also pick up either Pumping Iron or Bloodthirst Aced. Pumping Iron is kind of versatile, but Bloodthirst is definitely my preference. And I'll show you how to do this in some gameplay after this explanation. But basically, every time you kill an enemy, your melee damage ramps up until you kill the next enemy with a melee attack. And then, after you kill them with it, it greatly increases your reload speed. So basically, you're just going to try and kill as many cops as possible, instantly destroy an enemy with a single melee attack, and then that speeds up your reload speed, so you can reload your gun, kill more enemies, finish one off with the melee, and then you get the reload speed again, and it's an infinite cycle of death and destruction. It's fantastic. Moving on to the ghost tree, Parkour Aced is the only really important thing here, because this greatly increases your overall mobility. Playing this without duck and cover and parkour, you feel like a glacier. You can hardly move at all. And Parkour Aced takes a few skill points, but I think it's really worth it. Is getting your reload while sprinting. This greatly increases your kind of mobility and your ability to play the game quickly. Get out of tough situations. I use a machine gun with this build, and the Oppressor tree here in Technician is really good for your machine gun. So getting Steady Grip Ace just gives you a nice buff to your weapon stats. Fire Control gives you a lot of extra accuracy when hip firing. So you'll see I mostly hip fire instead of aiming down sights with the machine gun because of fire control. It's a really great skill for improving your weapon spread. And I also run lock and load basic so that I can shoot while sprinting. This, again, makes your tactical mobility really high. You don't strictly need it for long defenses and stuff, so if you're tight for skill points, you can maybe leave out the lock and load, but I highly recommend steady grip basic and fire control basic. These are really important. And the drill skills are basically just something I've dumped extra points into. Usually you should make sure only one person on your team has drill skills, because there's not really... and just get them to place the drills. Because there's not really any point in everyone wasting all their skill points on drill skills. Also, in Enforcer, I have put in some nice points into Portable Saw, but obviously you can take that out, you can put in like Inspire and Mastermind or something instead. I also haven't spec'd into any deployables with this build, and that's because I've found that they don't actually help. Is like running extra ammo or extra C4, it never really helped me very much. And so I wound up putting the skill points into other things, and I found that the basic versions of those deployables actually worked really well for most purposes. So I'll usually bring either 3 trip mines or 1 basic ammo bag. I know it's not much of a team play build, but I mean, come on, you're already carrying the saw and doing the drill skills for your team. I think they can miss out on your deployables in exchange for you being a much better fighter. Underdog Ace is a really good thing here. So your underdog damage reduction and your damage bonuses just kind of stack on top of the already existing damage and reductions and bonuses from your Frenzy and your Berserker and your Anarchist. So this just really compiles to make you into an absolute tank. You really dish out a lot of damage, and you deal and you can tank a heck ton of damage to yourself. This doesn't work so well in Death Sentence because of just the sheer amount of damage the cops deal. It becomes a lot harder to rely on tanking, and you want to move more to dodge builds, and builds that completely avoid taking damage rather than just being able to resist it. And obviously most of the Enforcer tree is kind of a no-brainer, but the main thing that I want to talk about is the Shock and Awe. And the reason that I haven't taken this seemingly really good perk is actually because it doesn't work with Anarchist. Shock and Awe Basic, it says it increases your armor recovery rate, but one of the special tricks with Anarchist is that it actually negates anything that supposedly improves your armor recovery rate. And so the Shock and Awe Basic does not benefit your the Shock and Awe Basic does not benefit your ICTV armor recovery rate at all. You could take it aced if you really want that shield knockback, but I think there's better things to spend your points on. And finally, there is a more Death Sentence-oriented version of this build, and that completely misses out on the ICTV, and instead you use a suit. But this version is a lot more damage resistant on lower difficulties, and allows you to just stay in the fight for ages, and that's the version I'm talking about today. And, I mean, on Death Sentence, I definitely prefer Rogue or Hacker to Anarchist anyway. And then, finally, Mastermind, basically been a skill dump for this build. Is just good things to spec into, is the Stable Shot Basic, and particularly the Confident Aced and the Partners in Crime and Joker. These give you really powerful conversion abilities on the battlefield. Partners in Crime Aced would be the first thing I would lose if you're tight on skill points. Like, if you were tight on skill points, basically the first thing you get is Joker, then you get Confident Aced, then you get Partners in Crime, then Joker Aced, then Partners in Crime Aced. And the thing about Partners in Crime Aced is it just means you can afford to replace your Jokers a lot less often. So that's the build on paper, at least in terms of the skill trees. So the saw that I use is got a total ammo bonus, fast motor, and the sharp blade, and that just gives you a nice overall damage bonus that makes it a lot faster to tear open deposit boxes and doors and things. You want to do it in short clicks, and it'll greatly reduce the amount of clicks you use, so your ammo efficiency may actually be better overall than using the durable blade, because you do like more damage per hit. And the weapon I use is an FN Minimi, also known as the KSP. I have given it the long barrel, the competitor's compensator, the lion bipod, which obviously is a straight upgrade, the accuracy boost, although this one's pretty optional. I have missed out on the railed foregrip because I don't find the extra damage makes a difference. I've got LED combo, and the 2-piece stock. Although, honourable mention to the war-torn stock and the solid stock, which are both like alternatives that are pretty viable. Alright, and for my melee weapon throwables, I choose the throwing knife, which is just a great option for... this thing deals like 3,000 damage or something ridiculous, so you can put this into the face of a bulldozer, you can shoot it at a cloaker if one charges you when you're running out of ammo. This is a great insta-kill that you could just pull out of your pocket. It's a straight upgrade to the throwing axe, which is the same thing, but only gives you half as many. And the gives you twice as many as the javelin, at the cost of it being a bit, doing a bit less damage. So, yeah, throwing knife is my weapon of choice. The javelin's alright, but I think the javelin is better, again, on death sentence, where cops have more health and the more damage is more important. Yeah, I usually use an ammo bag or a trip mine for my deployables, depending on the map. If there's a lot of deposit boxes, I'll bring an ammo bag. If there's safes that need to be blasted open, I'll bring trip mines. And for my melee, this is a really big favourite of mine, is the ice pick. Compared to all of the other kind of powerful, high damage melee weapons, the ice pick is really good in terms of stats. You might look at some of the other ones, like the bearded axe or the greatsword and stuff. And particularly, the only other one that I think is actually worth running is the katana here. But the thing about the ice axe is it has an incredibly fast draw speed and holster speed, and these are stats that aren't listed on the weapon stats here in the inventory. And this basically allows you to almost instantly pull it out and put it back away, which kind of allows you to shoot, hit, reload, as opposed to shoot, slowly draw your weapon, slowly swing your weapon, slowly holster your weapon, and then reload. So the ice pick greatly raises your APM, and just makes you faster and more responsive overall. And obviously the ICTV. That is pretty much all the relevant parts of the setup, so let's go into a game, and I'll show you how I use it. Well, actually, let's bring some Molotovs to this map. Taking your jokers early on is quite important to improve your damage and your survivability. If you ever notice that you're falling behind in a heist, it's actually often because your jokers are dead and you need to replace them. And I hit him with the ice axe and can reload at a greatly increased speed. Okay, now we just sit tight for the helicopter. God damn, there's so many civilians. And get that 2 seconds of armor invincibility when it breaks. That lets you just kind of get out of the danger zone. Yep, and just make really good use of that invincibility and armor gating, and try and hit as many headshots as possible to recover your armor really fast. And you'll find you can live pretty long, even if you're an idiot like me and you run out in the open and get killed. With these bulldozers, you want to focus on that faceplate, and you'll rip it apart real fast, and you start dealing that high headshot damage. Those nice insta-kill melees in, often, or else you're kind of just wasting the extra damage you get. It's a free insta-kill you can get all the time, so you may as well take advantage of it. It's a real learning curve to know how often you can, kind of deploy that insta-kill and how long it needs to recharge before you can insta-kill an enemy again with it. Take lots of hostages, because it slows down the next wave of cops, and it gives you a future joker to convert. 60 seconds till Bile gets here. Oh, where are these AIs? Pick up the stupid bag. Yeah, I use the mini-knee, but the other weapons like the MG42 or the Brenner 21, they can be pretty good too. So it's all about personal preference and finding what works for you. The other main build like version of this that I've had good success with is a kind of Inspire Frenzerker, and that mostly just loses the saw skills and and some of the Joker skills to afford Inspire. And, that makes you a bit more of a healer player and a bit less of a loot grabber. Like, this build is great for collecting all the swag from all the deposit boxes and safes and stuff. So just talk to your team and work out the best build for each. And, I think you'll find this is a really solid build for surviving on solo or in a team on Deathwish and below. It's not a build you want to take to Death Sentence 1 down, but anywhere below that is a really viable and flexible build, and I really like using it. Thank you for watching.